We want to update you on the situation coming out of the High Court in KwaZulu-Natal, sitting in Durban. The former eThekwini Mayor Zandile Gumede and her 21 co-accused have been back in court on fraud and corruption charges. They are implicated in a 430 million rand waste management tender scandal. The trial against the accused is expected to start in July next year. So for more on this, then, let's get an update quickly from eNCA's Dasen Thathiah, who's been attending that hearing in Durban. Dasen, my understanding is that this was a pre-trial, part of the pre-trial processes for Zandile Gumede and her 21 co-accused. Her supporters are impatient. They want this trial to start and proceed swiftly, but it would seem they didn't get their wish today.
Not at all, Tulos, but I think there was an expectation that there were still these pre-trial processes that needed to be completed. In fact, at the last court hearing that was in June, it was made clear that there were certain particulars that needed to be exchanged by the parties in order to get this process going. The NPA had said at that time already that the expectation was that the trial may only be started in around July next year, so there's still some time to go. But at the same time, also telling us that if they were to start the trial today, that they were in fact ready to do that. Now, there's still some time to go. We were not allowed into the courtroom today, just our camera colleagues were, and that was apparently because of the COVID protocols. You know that there are quite a few accused in this matter. It is the former eThekwini Mayor Zandile Gumede, as well as 21 others. So certainly a number of people. These are people that are either the associates of contractors or the contractors themselves, effectively an enterprise, as the state is calling it. You'll also recall that the last time around, there were charges of racketeering that were added. So making it what the state is alleging to be a criminal enterprise, and the money that was supposedly stolen here to the value of about 320 million rand. Now, I just want to bring in one of the supporters that has been here throughout these proceedings. You'll see that they are engaging with the other colleagues outside here, just explaining what happened in court. I've got Ntando Kuzwayo with me. Mr. Kuzwayo, thank you so much for joining me. I know that you, like us, were not allowed inside court, but you've obviously heard what has transpired. I see that there are quite a number of people here today, also presumably waiting for the trial to get started.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Thank you, Dasen. Greetings to your viewers. We are disappointed because we were hoping that today the matter of the trial was going to be finalized in terms of when the trial will start. But it seems that the state is still delaying. As I had said to another reporter in the morning, I don't think the state is ready. Indeed, it was proven inside court because the NPA was requested to bring further particulars to some of the parties, and they failed to do so. So it means they are not ready. That is 4 years into the matter, they are still not ready. And this is very, very disappointing because this matter has been hanging over the heads of these comrades for a very long time now, and it needs to be resolved.
But you'll also accept, I imagine, that there are quite a number of details that they need to go through. I mean, you've seen the indictment, you've seen the complexity of that. Would that not then be contributing to the fact that this has been going on since Zandile Gumede's arrest in 2019?
Yeah, but why effect an arrest if you're not ready for trial? Because, you know, the matter is going to be hanging over the head of that person. You know, so they should have waited until they have all their ducks in a row and ready to go to trial. Then only they should have made the arrest.
Was the expectation not for these supporters to be addressed by Zandile Gumede today?
Well, there was an expectation to be addressed by her, but I think they understand the predicament that she's under as she's on a step aside right now. So I think they will take it in a good spirit.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Kuzwayo Tulas, one of the ardent supporters of the former mayor here. She just left a short while ago, very quietly. She walked out of the courtroom into the crowd and off to the side to her car, and she left. As you heard there, the expectation was that she would have addressed the crowd today, but she was bound by the rules of the step aside, and she wasn't able to do that.
Dasen, without detracting from the political elements of it and, you know, the sentiments of her supporters that she's being done in and justice is not being done, it's also important for us to also reflect the complexity of the matter. Pre-trial processes are not unique to this particular matter. But one would say they're especially important in this kind of matter where you have one of the charges being racketeering, which requires the National Director of Public Prosecutions to authorize a prosecution for racketeering, for example. But also then you have the complexity of the volume of charges that you are dealing with. 22 accused and more than 2,000 charges.
In fact, going closer to 3,000 at the last count. Tulas, in fact, those numbers in that indictment will make your head spin. Some of the accounts of what happened there, the figures, I mean, these are figures that are running into millions. Some of them are small, it's just a few thousands. But all of that detail, in fact, it certainly took a long time to get through. In fact, investigators would have then taken a lot of time to get through those financial records, because at the core of this, Tulas, we're talking about money that moved hands several times over. These are not direct payments to the accused in many cases. That's where the allegation of an enterprise comes into play. It may have passed to person A, who then distributed it to person B, and likewise those amounts split into smaller figures. In fact, you'll see that in parts of this indictment, it even talks about how at one stage Zandile Gumede is alleged to have spent 43,000 rand on airtime over 2 years. In another alleged transaction, her daughter received a payment from one of the contractors that received work from eThekwini municipality, and she then in turn used that to buy bricks to assist at her mother's home. So this is the nature of this. That indictment, to us, will make your head spin.
Yeah, all right. Thank you for that, Dasen Thathiah. Important to also restate that this is not seeking to downplay or minimize the concerns that Zandile Gumede's supporters are expressing.